Welcome to Midlife Initiation. I'm David Evans coming to you this time from my hotel room in Vegas after a big work night out and one of those transcendent moments where you feel connected to everything. This time on the dance floor with my co-workers. It was awesome. Anyway, today I'm going to be sharing about the hero mask, one of the six egoic patterns described in the book. And I start out each of these with a fable. So you'll hear a story about a character, an archetype of the hero mask this time, and then we'll debrief. Okay, so let's dive in. The hero proves his self-worth. A hero fable told by Logan. People say I've had a successful career. I got the titles, results, shareholder returns. It hasn't come easy. I grew up in a working class suburb, the kind of place where people mow their own lawns and kids play sports until the streetlights come on. My dad worked for the city. My mum stayed home. We weren't rich. We weren't poor. We were just fine. But I didn't want fine. From a young age, I figured that if I worked harder than everyone else, I could get ahead. That's what matters. Hustle, drive, dominating, be the one they can't ignore. It didn't always work out the way I hoped. I was vice captain of my high school football team, never captain. I felt the sting. Why not me? I'm doing everything right. I took that fire into college. Business degree, worked while studying, got every internship I could, outworked everyone. College is where I met Mallory too. She had a kind of lightness I didn't understand. She saw something in me, maybe my ambition, maybe my intensity, maybe she just wanted someone with a plan. We got married our senior year. I landed a job with a major airline. Life was moving fast and I liked it that way. My motto was simple. If you want it done right, do it yourself. I worked weekends, early mornings, late nights. When I wasn't working, I was thinking about work. Mallory held everything else together, the house, the holidays, our two boys. We were a team. She supported my dream and I supported the family. I climbed the ranks, always hungry for the next rung. Every time I hit a new level, I'd look up and see the next one. I wanted the title, the salary, the recognition. I wanted to walk into a room and be the guy. Not for the applause, but because I would finally know I was winning. I finally made Chief Revenue Officer. It was the win I'd been waiting for, the C-suite. Next thing I know, I remember sitting in my corner office, looking out of the runways, thinking, I could run this place better than Hank, the CEO. Then came the opportunity. A failing regional airline already in Chapter 11. They needed a turnaround CEO. I said yes without hesitation. This was it. My shot to save the day, to prove once and for all that I was the guy you could call when there's a real emergency. I threw myself into my work, built a hand-picked team of loyal doers, people who shared my appetite for results and my disdain for laziness. We worked 7 days a week, cut waste, cut costs, cut anyone who couldn't match our pace. 18 months later, the company was back in the black. The press called me a miracle worker. Investors called me a hero. Mallory stopped calling me, period. I was on my way back from an investor show, 5 days in Manhattan, wooing Wall Street. I killed. I owned those faggot financiers in their fancy finery, dominated the industry narrative and the analyst headlines. I single-handedly 2x the company valuation in the lead up to our IPO. I headed home, head held high, ready to be treated like the king I was by my queen. I arrived home to nothing but a note left on the kitchen island. The fuck? I was doing it all for her, for them, but she left. My boys barely spoke to me. I'll show them. More work, more coffee, maybe just a little Coke, and then a lot. Strippers and whiskey to wind down. Maybe a swipe right I can perform 17 orgasms on. Stock goes up. That was the story. My story. The hero's story. If I push hard enough, win big enough, then I'll be enough. But I wasn't. To be continued. Hero Fable debrief. As you read or as you heard Logan's story, what were you aware of? Did you admire him, resent him, feel sorry for him? Did any part of his drive feel familiar? Maybe even noble? What part of his unraveling stirred something deeper, something you've been trying not to feel? This is the strange gift of the hero mask. It's compelling. It works until it doesn't. Ultimately, it's okay that it doesn't, as long as you're willing to experience the nothingness you've been trying to paper over your whole life. Logan's journey from a hungry working class kid to the C-suite to losing the very people he thought he was working for isn't surprising. It's a pattern, maybe even a cliche. One many of us live, especially those of us raised to believe that success is the reward for never letting up. The hero pattern is the superiority complex related to the will, a drive to dominate and achieve, believing your strength, speed, and success will make you enough. The hero mask is made of raw drive and relentless ambition. The energy comes from the gut, the center of the will, but the healthy instinct to act is distorted by story into a compulsive need to prove strength and earn recognition. The inner story is, I'm the most capable, but no one sees it. So the hero fights, pushes, strives hard. Logan's reliance on stimulants like caffeine or cocaine to power through can exacerbate stress and further disrupt the critical communication between the gut brain and the head brain. Stimulants create an energy debt that needs to be repaid. The gut needs nutrients, not stimulants, to function properly, delivering energy to the system. A nourished gut builds balance in the head brain, subsequently calming the heart. The hero is the Titan energy in its modern form. When in this egoic loop, you believe the world is a battlefield and life is a competition. In Logan's Fable, the mantras of the hero are clear. If you want it done right, do it yourself. Hard work is sacred. Lazy people are pathetic. Self-worth must be earned through striving. Maybe you've lived by those mantras too. And so the questions arise. Where in your life are you still striving to be enough? Who are you trying to prove yourself to? What are you trying to prove? It doesn't have to be the extreme example of Logan, but perhaps it's subtle. Like, me projecting the attributes of slow and scared onto my peers in my own story. Are there relationships you've built around performance and results where presence and listening might serve better than domination and achievement? I sometimes slip into hero mode in small ways, in addition to the obvious ones. When I'm facilitating, especially large groups, I find my thoughts making me responsible for their goals. I start to rush, to push for transformation. And then I feel frustrated arising as I experience their resistance. Do you ever find yourself resenting others for not trying hard enough? Or like me, is that your unacknowledged exhaustion projecting outward? Are you willing to let others, someone in without needing to impress them? The hero is often beloved by society but feels unseen. No recognition is ever enough because it's not the world's approval they're after. It's their own acceptance. Without surrender, the hero lives clenched, armored, efficient, but alone. Heroes can be inspiring, especially to those who feel powerless. Victims often cling to heroes. Zombies want them to take charge, but to the hero, everyone else feels like dead weight or hidden threat. Do you feel that underlying sense of competitiveness with other men you see as successful? What about your relationship with women if you're straight? For the hero, sex is often performance. The goal is to dominate, impress, and achieve. Let me give you 17 orgasms, as if pleasure is a scoreboard. It's not about connection, but conquest. Heroes operate in scarcity mode. There's never enough time, enough money, enough status, and anyone who isn't striving like they are is suspicious, maybe even dangerous. Cooperation looks like a trick. Vulnerability feels like failure. A hero's drug of choice reflects this too. Performance enhancers like cocaine, caffeine, steroids, Viagra, even painkillers and ketamine can be ways to power through the discomfort. Diet is optimized for fuel and function. Underneath all this drive is a deep insecurity, a fear of being exposed, perhaps a fear of being laughed at. So heroes driven by the power of loss aversion keep accumulating skills, money, control, believing that one day when they finally won, they'll relax. They'll be magnanimous. They'll finally feel safe enough and respected enough. But that day never comes because the approval they seek doesn't land. It bounces off the armor. The striving is the identity, and invulnerability has become the only acceptable form of being. Perhaps you clearly see the suffering in the invulnerability of the hero. Let's move on next to a more subtle form of suffering from beneath the mask of the god, and we'll cover the god next time.